KTN Weekend Prime with Yvonne Okwara.
A very good evening to you, the 6th day of September 2014. We trust you had a good weekend. Welcome to the program tonight. We have all the top stories for you, including breaking news coming out of Somalia regarding Al-Shabaab. Let's take a look at the top stories tonight.
Sisi tunauliza tuchaguliwe, tunauliza twende tufanye nini? Twende tufanyie nyinyi kazi ama kwenda kutafuta pesa yetu kibinafsi?
Sasa ukisema wewe uko na shida unataka referendum ati ndio uongezewe pesa. Si kwanza useme tujadiliane, tuseme tumeshindwa kujadiliana ndio unaenda kutafuta mambo mengine.
Governors driving President Uhuru up the wall with push for a referendum.
Ako ni jamidari yangu.
Sealing the western cracks, Raila and Ababu's show of unity.
Sasa nimepoteza hao na nimewachia Mungu.
Goodbye my children. Final journey for victims of Budalangi boat tragedy.
Tukikuta daktari ambaye anafanya kazi county na yeye adidai amegoma, anamefungua hospitali yake mashinani ya kuchukua pesa za watu, tutaifunga.
And stalemate persists as services at Coast General Hospital remain grounded. Good evening and welcome to the program. We start off with news just into our newsrooms tonight. Terror group Al-Shabaab has confirmed that indeed their top leader, Ahmed Abdi Godane, was killed in the U.S. airstrike inside Somalia. In a statement, Al-Shabaab has named Sheikh Ahmed Umar as the successor. This confirmation comes just a day after the United States disclosed that they had indeed killed Abdi Godane, who was top on their watch list. He was killed on Monday this week when U.S. carried out an attack on Godane's convoy in the Lower Shabelle region, south of Somalia's capital. Somalia's president issued a statement on Friday urging militants to embrace peace after the death of their leader. President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed also announced a 45-day amnesty for militants who are willing to renounce Al-Shabaab. And indeed, we must also say that the president today hailed the U.S. for the killing of the Al-Shabaab leader and said Kenya will do everything to secure itself. Now, let's move on to other news now. And the president of the country today led Jubilee leaders in blasting referendum proponents, saying they should give the country a break at the homecoming ceremony for devolution cabinet secretary Anne Waiguru. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Jubilee allies scoffed at the referendum calls, saying it is all a political gimmick since counties returned 30 billion shillings to Treasury last financial year. The homecoming in Gishugu, Kirinyaga County, also saw leaders poke holes in former Gishugu MP Martha Karua's tenure as a long-time area MP.
A high-powered Jubilee administration delegation graced the devolution cabinet secretary Anne Waiguru's homecoming. President Uhuru Kenyatta heading the leadership pack that consisted 33 members of the National Assembly, 5 senators, 4 governors and 8 cabinet secretaries to Kiamugumo Primary School, Gishugu, Kirinyaga County. It was the first time in 50 years a sitting president was visiting Gishugu after Kenya's first president Jomo Kenyatta made the trip here. And the devolution cabinet secretary made history, breaking the jinx. Whether by default or design, Waiguru made a statement eclipsing the former Gishugu MP, Martha Karua's regime. Karua's 20-year reign as Gishugu MP was bashed, with leaders poking holes at her development track record. 3 CORD leaders attended the homecoming and in the presence of the president tried pushing the Okoa Kenya and the Pesa Mashinani national referenda. But this was nipped in the bud.
Wanasema kila wakati wakishindwa tume ya uchaguzi enda nyumbani, tunawaambia tume ya uchaguzi haipigi kura, inaangalia kura. Kura inapigwa na wananchi wa Kenya.
Uko nayo hakikisha imetumiwa. Mwaka uliopita pesa zaidi ya bilioni 30 billion zilirudi katika treasury kwa sababu hakuweza kutumia. Sasa badala ya kuweka mikakati ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba pesa hizo zimetumiwa, ndio tujue shida iko wapi na kama zitaongezwa tutajua ni namna gani ya kufanya.
Samogina, KTN.
Now, even as the top Jubilee leadership kept up the pressure to discourage governors on their quest, governors have hit the ground with impassioned campaigns to popularize their push for a referendum. They say they will continue with their drive despite threats to have those belonging to the Jubilee Alliance kicked out of the party for being disloyal. The governors, led by their chairman Isaac Ruto, have been in Meru for the last 2 days.
Sisi tuko na siasa gani ya kusema pesa ije hapa tuweze kuwatengenezea barabara? Hiyo ni siasa. Hiyo ni siasa. Sasa waambieni wabunge pia waunge hii mambo mkono, kwa sababu tuliwachagua watuletee rasilimali hapa chini hapa Meru. Tunaelewana? Tuliwachagua waende watutetee pesa ikuje hapa. Sio waende watetee pesa ikae Nairobi.
Zile pesa ya maji, zile pesa ya kilimo, zile pesa ya afya, zile pesa ya barabara inayostahili kujengwa na counties, zile pesa ya stadium kama hii, kwa sababu hiyo ni bado jukumu ya counties, zije hapa kulingana na sheria. Tusije tukasema kwamba sisi tunajitakia. Hapana.
Mimi nitasaidia watu wangu kwa usawa ni maendeleo. Na hayo ndio mimi nafuata. Nataka usawa wa Kakamega uwe, usawa wa Meru uwe, usawa wa Baringo uwe, usawa wa Bomet uwe. Na hivyo tukifanya hivyo, Kenya itaendelea mbele kabisa.
Sisi kama viongozi tunachaguliwa tu kwa sababu moja. Tuende tusaidie wananchi, maisha yao ibadilike, iinuke mbele. Sisi hakuna kazi nyingine mnachagua viongozi. Na sisi kama viongozi, we are not better than any one of you. You can also be here. Ama namna gani? Si hata wewe unaweza kuchaguliwa. Saa ile sisi tunauliza tuchaguliwe, tunauliza tuende tufanye nini? Tuende tufanyie nyinyi kazi ama kwenda kutafuta pesa yetu kibinafsi? Si ni kazi yako. So, baada ya kuchaguliwa ni nini napindua sisi?
Odm leader Raila Odinga and Budalangi MP Ababu Raila today moved to seal the rift that has been growing between them over ODM party elections. Raila and Ababu sat together in Busia and assured their supporters that ODM wrangles were over. KTN's Francis Ontoma reports.
As it is with most political maneuvers, both the venue and the timing of this handshake were meant to send an important message. CORD and ODM leader Raila Odinga moving to calm troubled waters in his party in the face of a Western political onslaught from Jubilee's President Uhuru Kenyatta. Budalangi MP Ababu Raila, the man whose party ambitions have been shaking ODM in the recent weeks, now affording some well-placed giggles and hugs with his party leader.
Mwenyewe anajua ya kwamba yale shida tulikuwa naye tutatatua sisi kama wana ODM, na wote wale ambao walikuwa wanatakia ODM mabaya watajuta, manake ODM itazidi kuwa na nguvu zaidi.
Namwalo village in Budalangi played host to CORD's political activities today, the occasion being the burial of the mother to former cabinet minister Fred Gomo. And as expected, the wrangles on the botched ODM party elections found their way into the meeting, the main stakeholders making strong but carefully weighed sentiments.
Sisi ni ngome ya chama hapa na tuko imara. We are not going anywhere.
And perhaps in a clever bid to shield Baba from the miseries of Western leaders, others decided to change the chorus, and the new song became the referendum bang.
Na referendum ikija, tunataka wenzetu wote wajitokeze ili tuone ya kwamba referendum imefaulu.
Referendum yaokoa mkono, kwa sababu ile maswala ambayo inataka kuuliza ni maswala ile wakati tulikuwa tunapitisha katiba tulisema hiyo maswala itatusaidia, na ni muhimu tuangalie inatusaidia
ama la.
A straight-shooting Raila Odinga once again defended the referendum bid, accusing the Jubilee government of spreading lies to Kenyans on the money trickling down to counties.
Wadanganya nyinyi otisoti yale tunamleta 43%. Hapana. Kweli ya kwamba yale ambayo ameleta chini hapa ni 12 kwa 100, 12% peke yake. Na tukitaka kurekebisha mpaka tuweke kwenye katiba ili pesa iweze kukuja hapa chini ya kutosha.
The core team later headed to the homecoming party of Matayos lawmaker Geoffrey Odanga. Ostensibly, the Raila Odinga visit to Busia was to center around the referendum subject, but it appears the ODM bullets may fire down a resolve for a referendum. Francis Ontomwa, KTN, Busia.
And indeed, the referendum continues to dominate conversations in the country. So let's now take you all the way to the coast, where Mombasa's court politicians have voiced a united front for the proposed referendum. They also launched a scathing attack on President Uhuru Kenyatta and a section of their counterparts opposed to the referendum. Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho has accused the state of a witch hunt in a bid to silence the referendum proponents and claimed that the government is conspiring to strip Mombasa of its resources through privatization. Senator Hassan Omar criticized some coast MPs for allegedly accepting goodies from the state at the expense of the bigger picture for selfish gains.
Referendum! Referendum! Referendum!
Sisi twakupa heshima kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, the head of state, but you are yet to become the head of this nation. Kuna tofauti ya state na nation. State ni ile nchi inaitwa Kenya, nation ni wale watu waliomo Kenya. Wewe huongozi taifa la Kenya, wewe unaongoza ile state ya Kenya.
Unajua sisi wanawake, mwanamume akikutongoza siku ya kwanza mkenda mkila chipsi wala chipsi, wamwambia kwanza nitaka nyumba, akunulie hiyo nyumba. Wamwambia tena nunulia shamba, akununulie shamba. Vitu vingi mpaka ukiona sasa uko sawa sawa ndio waweza kumpa date, ama sivyo? Lakini wewe siku ya kwanza uliponunuliwa chipsi ushagivin, ushatoa date.
Tunamalizwa kiuchumi hapa Mombasa na pwani nzima, lakini kwa sababu wewe wapenda biriani sana, ile yenu huithamini, umpele kwa barke ndio unkula, wasema wewe atosha. Wale wabunge ama ma-MCA ama viongozi munao support kiholela kwa matumbo yenu, bure yenu sana nyinyi, bure kabisa nyinyi. Ukiona hatu utatumia njia za nyuma kunishika, kunisumbua, let me tell it to you today. Unatufanya ndio tuwe twasimama kidete zaidi, because sisi nguvu zetu ziko kwa wananchi.
Now, it's been a week of agony for residents of Budalangi as the bodies of those who died in the boat tragedy last Saturday were retrieved from the River Nzoia. Now, the bodies are on their final journey. KTN's Francis Ontomwa has the details.
Family deeply lost in reverie. Eerie silence, confusion, all palpable on the shores of River Nzoia. Siginga is the setting, and for 3 nights they have camped here, bracing the toughest of times. Frequent drizzles making life outside here quite unbearable. The exercise to retrieve 9 bodies has just ended, and for affected families, time to shoulder yet another cross, the headache of laying to rest departed souls. Sylvester Ojuang and his wife Eunice pensively stare into the waters that mercilessly consume their 3 children.
Sasa sijui tena nitaanzia juu, nimezoea na watoto kwa nyumba, sasa nimebaki na mtoto mmoja. Sasa mimi mwenyewe nasema ni uchungu sana, kwa sababu sijui, napenda kupiga kelele na watoto, sijui nitaanzia wapi na nitamalizia wapi. Sasa mimi nimeachia Mungu, yeye ndiye alinipea, tena amechukua.
Sasa nimepoteza hao na nimewachia Mungu. Hao watoto nimewazoea sana na ni hao tu nilikuwa nimetegemea kama maisha yangu.
A traumatized Eunice Akelo fights back emotions as she reflects on the deafening tales of last weekend. Flavia Akenye is now the only remaining child for the Ojwangs.
Na ilifaa twende maombi Busia. Sasa mimi nilishindwa kwenda maombi Busia na niko na watoto wadogo hapa, na baba yao alikuwa ametoka ameenda nyumbani. Sasa huyu ndiye alirudi huku akaenda na watu wa kanisa Busia maombi. Ndio sababu sasa hiyo siku hakupatikana kwa hiyo msafara. Lakini kama angekuwa kwenda Busia pia angekuwa kwa hiyo msafara.
Just as we are arriving, we meet this woman at the river banks. She is washing the clothes that her 4-year-old daughter last wore when her body was recovered. Another mother reeling from the harsh experience, just too traumatized to speak to us. Funeral arrangements are even yet to be finalized here.
Hii ilikuja kama disaster. Sio hatukuwa na mpangilio ya kutosha. Hata wenyewe hapa sisi hatuna mpangilio mzuri. Ijapokuwa sasa tunasaidiwa na familia na serikali.
We decide to test Rugunga Primary School, where the trio school until their untimely demise. Schools have just opened, but here learning is yet to commence. A mournful air steals the thunder from anything else. The school lost 5 pupils, and the head teacher has convened this meeting to cancel the shocked learners.
Mesambaratika kidogo, tunajikaza tu kuwa hapa, lakini roho zetu haziko hapa. Given that most of the family members hasa and their relatives, they just come from one family. Wale ambao wameathirika wanatoka tu karibu familia moja. So wamekuwa na kampu pale karibu na mto wakingojea maiti ya hawa watoto ikuwe retrieved.
It is increasingly becoming distressing here at Siginga. All the bodies have finally been retrieved from the river, and our families are headed back to their homes to bury the dead. Indeed, a difficult time for Sylvester Ojuang, who has lost 3 of his children in the tragedy. Francis Ntomwa, KTN, Siginga, Budalangi.
A difficult time for the families there, but at least now they have some closure with the bodies now having been recovered. Let's go to Mombasa now. Governor Hassan Joho has issued orders for all private clinics owned by striking doctors to be shut down. A furious Joho lamented that the doctors have refused to resume duty even after being paid to attend to their private practice. But in a rejoinder, the health workers say not all monies owed to them have been paid. They are also demanding the immediate reinstatement of Chief Administrator Bernard Muero. That story for you in just a while on KTN Weekend Prime. Joho lamented that the doctors have refused to resume duty even after being paid to attend to their private practice. In a swift rejoinder, however, the health workers say not all monies owed to them have been paid. They're also demanding the immediate reinstatement of the Chief Administrator, Bernard Muero.
It started with a go-slow, and now it's a full-blown strike. Health workers at the Coast General Hospital Mombasa are staying away not just for missing monies, but also they're missing chief administrator.
Bring the chief back.
The hospital's chief administrator is away under contentious circumstances. The workers are adamant that he has been forced out of office, while the county government maintains he requested for leave.
His leave form was signed by the Director of Health Services, Dr. Pata. And so for us, the accusations about dismissal, intimidation, for us are baseless.
If indeed Dr. Muero asked for leave and the minister gave him leave, then the minister should resign. Because how do you give leave to chief administrator of a hospital when there's a crisis?
We have systems, we have structures in government, and government will continue to work even when people proceed on leave.
The county government is also fuming at the workers for staying on strike even after their July and August salaries had been paid. But the workers say while they received their salaries, some allowances were missing.
So they cannot claim that they are paid 95%, so we should let the other 5% sink.
All the extraneous allowances that were not paid for July have actually been paid. This was effected this morning.
Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho is now reading malice on the health workers' decision to stay away, accusing some of them of deliberately making more time to work in their private clinics.
Why do you take taxpayers' money uweke kwa mfuko na wewe uende ufungue kliniki zako huku mashinani, unagoma kule Kozendo, unakuja hapa unatumia hiyo na unapatia watu huduma na unalipwa?
Joho has now ordered a crackdown on all private clinics to fish out alleged double dealers.
Sisi kama county tutatembea mashinani, tukikuta daktari ambaye anafanya kazi county na yeye adidai amegoma, anamefungua hospitali yake mashinani ya kuchukua pesa za watu, tutaifunga, tutamshitaki na tutamkisha ameenda kotini.
In the meantime, services at the Coast General Hospital remain non-existent. Most of the wards remain empty, dusty and unattended. The patients stuck here are mostly in the orthopedic ward who cannot transfer because they have broken bones. Zephania Mulama was recovering well since he arrived 4 months ago. But 3 weeks after the strike, his condition is now worsening.
Imeni affect kabisa, manake hata kufanywa dressings fanyewe ile kuoshwa mguu ni shida. Maumivu kila wakati, dawa za maumivu haziko, manake hao ndio walikuwa dawa zikiisha wanatuandikia then tunanunua wenyewe.
We found Mulama getting fresh air outside the ward, courtesy of friends who pushed his bed outside. He says he needed that break from the monotony of suffering in the ward.
Kuinja at least nipunguze maumivu, manake ukikamule ndani sura ni zile zile umezoea kila siku, watu ni wale wale, mwenzako anaumia ukimcheki upe unaumwa. Sasa bidi utafute fresh air pia huko nje.
But until the health workers and county government come to an agreement, the only services guaranteed are from the hospital chaplaincy, who visit every day to pray for them.
And I've already told Tendai, tell those people to go back to work or they leave. Waende.
Pay us our terminal benefits, we go home. We don't care about that.
The situation at the Coast General Hospital is so bad that patients are now being turned away. The health workers now insist that until they are paid all their dues and until the chief administrator is reinstated, Kenya's second largest referral hospital shall remain out of service. Ferdinand Omondi, KTN, Mombasa.
All right, now let's stay with matters health. Tonight, the Kenya Medical Laboratory Technicians and Technologists Board has vowed to continue with the raids against illegal facilities and personnel who offer medical lab services without accreditation. The board says it began the crackdown 2 weeks ago, and so far over 50 medical laboratories and clinics have been closed down for operating illegally. Today, the board's inspectors visited the Nairobi Pathology, Medical and Reproductive Health Clinic at Afya Center to ascertain whether the clinic was operating legally after receiving complaints from the public. All the employees at the facility fled upon seeing the officers arrive. The proprietor, Enoch Ondara, who could not produce documents of registration and accreditation for the facility, was then taken into custody.
The Laboratory and Technicians Board, they came, they inspected the lab, they gave the classification of the lab, because what we are doing is very small tests. So when they did it, they sent the certificate to the post office. So when they sent it to the post office, we didn't pick it, because when we picked it, it had name difference.
Waweze kutujulisha mapema iwapo wanashuku mtu kwamba hajahitimu, ili tuchukue hatua mwafaka.
We wish also to tell the practitioners to make sure that the results they are giving out need to be of quality, so at least that the result can be validated.
All right, now let's go to some good news for the Catholic faithful. The third stage, also known as the Roman phase of beatification of the servant of God, Maurice Michael Cardinal Otunga, is on course. The Archdiocese of Nairobi held a walk today titled the Otunga Walk, which marked the 11th anniversary of the passing on of Cardinal Otunga. It was aimed at raising funds to meet the expenses in this phase, thus completing the cause which formally began in November 2011. And the process seems headed for successful completion after the Catholic Church in Rome gave a go-ahead for Otunga's biography to be forwarded. After it is approved, he will be titled and blessed, marking the entrance to the last stage. Cardinal Otunga is the first Kenyan whose process of canonization is being examined at the Vatican. The celebration is a momentous occasion for the Catholic Church of Kenya.
So far what we have done, we have succeeded, that in the sense that in the Archdiocese, we have done our work, we have done our research, and we have sent all these people, all the documents to Rome, and the work now is in Rome now.
When his biography is finished, perhaps toward the end of this year, if not the beginning of next year, that the process moves quickly. Okay? We might have, it's not unlikely that we might have him become venerable within 2 years.
All right, on that note, we want to take a short break right now on KTN Weekend Prime, but stay with us because here is what we have coming up next. On KTN Weekend Prime, Kaya elders decry wanton destruction of their shrine. Right, welcome back. The Mijikenda sacred forests risk being delisted from the World Heritage Sites if no mitigation measures are taken to save them. The forests, commonly referred to as Kaya, have increasingly come under threat from prospectors, miners and loggers, threatening what has long been the nucleus of the Mijikenda community. Ferdinand Omondi reports.
Solemn drumbeats and singing on the edges of Kaya Wa in Kwale. It has always been respected by the Mijikenda as the nucleus of their existence, hallowed by residents as sacred ground and protected by the world as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Until now, a new breed of devastating capitalists have encroached into the forests, logging, mining, sand harvesting, and even constructing permanent structures. Chairman of the Mijikenda Kayas, Abdallah Mnyenze, is stunned.
Kaya kwanza misitu inaleta mvua. Misitu na miti mingine madawa ipatikani inapatikana humu ndani ya Kaya. Kuna viumbe hai vingine kama krobasi kani hawapatikani wanapatikana misitu ya Kaya.
Locals regard the Kaya forests as a source of spiritual power. Ancient shrines are located in the forests, most of which are accessible to none other than the elders themselves or for community rituals. The Kayas are also preserved original settlements as constructed by the Mijikenda ancestors hundreds of years ago. UNESCO grouped the Kayas and declared them part of the World Heritage Sites. The sacred forests have mainly been protected by dark superstition, with beliefs like cutting down a tree could cost you your life. But a new breed of loggers have called the bluff and gone in a logging rampage. Kaya elders are decrying the destruction of their shrines, saying they are not able to communicate with their gods anymore.
Mvua, wazee walikuwa wakikusanyika, wakija wakitoa zaka zao hapa, wakitoa kafara zao, wakiomba mvua, wakiondoka mvua inanyesha. Walikuwa wakitoa kafara zao kama kuna maradhi ambayo yameingia na maradhi yale hayajulikani, walikuwa wakija sehemu hii wakifanya tambiko zao, maradhi yanaepuka.
Na pia ina makaburi yetu ambayo yetu tupata shida tunakuja kufanya maombi. Sasa Kaya ikikatwa hivi ni kama mtu aliyekata kichwa changu kusema kweli.
Kaya Ukunda is one of the forests that have been affected by land grabbing. According to Hamisi, appetite for land close to the beach has been the biggest problem. Beachland is prime property with an acre fetching tens of millions of shillings. The elders are pointing accusing fingers at Kwale's local administration for allowing developers to have access to the Kayas and put up structures with their approval.
Kama mnavyoona Kaya hii, sehemu ina mzungu ambaye kwa sasa amekata pori, ameishi humo ndani, amewahi kupewa pia stakabadhi za kuwa asimamishe shughuli zake zote katika msitu huu, lakini amepuza, anaendelea.
The same predicament has befallen Kaya Wa, whose land ownership is in contention.
Some of the Kayas, especially the Kayas that are along the beach line, Kaya Wa, Kaya Diani, Kaya Ukunda, Kaya Kinondo, even Kaya Chale, the land was subdivided during the county council era, and this area, although gazetted as national monument, they are privately owned. And specifically in some of the Kayas like Kayawa, Kaya Kauma in Kilifi, and Jibana in Kilifi also, whereby uncontrolled artisanal mining is threatening the existence of the biodiversity hotspots.
Over 50 Kayas dot the coastal strip, spanning well over 300 hectares. Cutting of trees, grazing and clearing for farmland is strictly prohibited. Locals have largely obeyed the rules for fears of reprisal from the spirits believed to roam the Kayas. The shrines are places for prayer, not only by the elders on behalf of the community, but also by individuals seeking divine intervention. This fact explains why many coastal politicians have so much attachment to the Kayas, or seek approval from Kaya elders ahead of political vocations. But now, the Kaya elders feel shortchanged by political leaders. Mwatsuma Kalama says they have been acting as askaris to protect the Kayas without government support. Kalama is now asking the county government to step in and help play a role in its conservation.
Katika hali ya kutayarisha petition ambayo tutaipeleka kwa county government kwa zile relevant departments, na pia tutapeleka kwa Ministry of lands.
Sisi tunaheshimu serikali na serikali iturumie kama ijue kwamba tunanyang'anywa mila yetu, tunalibiwa mila yetu, na tutakubali.
The World Wildlife Fund is now challenging the country's administration to step up to the plate and restore the dignity of these sites. Fadian Mundi, KTN, Kwale.
All right, let's bring you back to the city where the Standard Group family hit the road today to meet with loyal viewers of KTN programs in various parts of Nairobi. The roadshow began in Kawangware and went through Dagoretti, Uthiru and many more areas of Nairobi. This was aimed at getting feedback from ardent viewers and to introduce fairly new programs on KTN. Popular presenters were also in the convoy.
Na wasisahau mkishindwa na nyinyi pia muende kabisa. Tunaweka tusatikati hapo tusatikine. Sawa. Tuongeze ingine moja. Alafu tena tuko na mshamba Zebedao leo live on stage.
All right, do make sure you catch up with KTN once again when the next roadshow comes to a town or area near you. Right, now it's time for the sports news tonight, and it's all about rugby, and it's the Safaricom Christie Sevens that took place today. This is the final circuit, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Yvonne, and very disappointing day for me because the team that I support didn't play too well. That story and many more will be coming after a short break. Do stay with us.
1970 in the hands of a resilient Homeboys. In its other ties, Homeboys secured a 38-0 win over Jacquard and a 12-7 defeat against Impala to finish second in Group A behind Impala. Strathmore will take Homeboys in Sunday's quarterfinal, while Mwamba will battle it out against Kisumu. Other teams that impressed and secured tomorrow's main cup quarterfinal slots include Impala against Nakuru, while Lunchback Queens will line up against an impressive Kabras. The Safaricom 7 series has however proved to be a talent hub for many youngsters.
Young boys coming through the ranks in their respective clubs have put up their hands. A lot of people are knocking on the doors.
After a bad day one in office, on Sunday KCB will feature in the bowl quarterfinals and need to be impressive so as to retain their overall title of the Safaricom 7 series. You simply have to call today's extravaganza rugby at its best as teams try to navigate their way and finish the final leg of the Safaricom 7 series on a winning note. Moses Wakesi, KTN Sports.
And to some very good news now, the Kenya national ladies team edged closer to qualifying for the second round of the Hockey World League. The Kenyan Queens beat Ghana 1-0 in their first match of the ongoing first round of the FIH World Hockey League at the City Park Stadium. The Kenya national women hockey team needs to just win their match against Tanzania to be assured of a ticket to Uruguay for the second round of the FIH World Hockey League. The Kenyan girls won a high-octane match against a stubborn Ghanaian side at the City Park Hockey Stadium. It was more like a revenge mission for Kenya, who were denied a slot to the Africa Cup of Nations finals by Ghana at the same venue last year. Jackie Joe scored the lone goal of the match, going to the break to put the hosts ahead. The second half was characterized by numerous efforts from Ghana to equalize, but buoyed by the home crowd, Kenya held on, and the final whistle was greeted by a dance of delight.
It's a sweet revenge for Ghana, a team that beat us last time in a tournament here at home. And we believe we are bringing in young players and they're able to pick up nicely. And it's a good gesture for the national team.
We've considered defeat, and I think it's a good test for us, and we move on from there.
Kenya currently has 3 points, same as Ghana, and only needs a win of whichever margin to bag the coveted Uruguay ticket.
Right, so we wrap up our bulletin tonight with a recap of our top story tonight. Less than 7 days after that Monday U.S. airstrike in the Lower Shabelle region of Somalia, tonight Al-Shabaab does indeed confirm that their leader, Ahmed Abdi Godane, was killed in that U.S. airstrike. It was in a strongly worded 6-page statement that was sent out today, perhaps in a bit to shore up the troops who might have lost their morale, especially with their leader being killed. And they have indeed announced his successor tonight. He is being replaced by Sheikh Ahmed Umar. And it will be interesting to note that Godane himself took over the leadership of Al-Shabaab in 2008 after the then chief Adan Hashi Airo was also killed by a U.S. missile strike. Now, in August, when Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta visited the U.S. for that Africa summit, he did express frustration receiving no support or not enough support from the U.S. in the fight against terrorism. Today, President Uhuru Kenyatta thanked the U.S. and hailed them for killing the Al-Shabaab leader, saying Kenya will do everything to protect itself and its borders. So that is our top story tonight. Of course, Al-Shabaab leaderless, no more, less than 7 days after that U.S. missile airstrike. Of course, significantly coming just a year after the Westgate siege, for which Godane is believed to have been the mastermind. As for what this will do for the morale of the fighters, people are saying this is justice for those 67 that lost their lives. We'll continue to follow this story as we head into the commemoration of the Westgate siege later on this month. We thank you for watching our bulletin tonight. It's been great having you. My name is Yvonne Okwara. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.